Yo, what's good? We have another reaction. This one is called Answering the Who Created God Question Whiteboard series by Impact Video Ministries. I'm gonna drop a like my video, you know what I'm saying? Do not be a stingy guy, EV. But I wonder what they're gonna say in this video, I'm not gonna lie.
Beginning or a cause for its existence. How Hey everyone, in this video, we're going to be answering the question, who created God? You see, many Christians assert the fact that God created everything.
Now I'm not a Christian, but I wonder wait, so are they Christians? That's even more crazy. How is a Christian gonna answer this question?
He created the land, the seas, the animals, the stars in the sky, and people with their souls and hearts. However, if everything we see had a beginning or a cause for its existence, shouldn't God also need a cause for his existence? I mean, doesn't this sound a little too convenient for Christians? Look at this conversation, for example. Jimmy here says, God created everything. And Billy says, okay, cool, but who created God? And Jimmy's response, well, everything needs a cause for its existence, but not God, because he was always there. And that doesn't sit well with a lot of people. It seems as though some Christians shut off their minds and stop thinking about the origin of life because they automatically assume God was just always there. So in an effort to dive into this topic and provide an answer to both Christians and skeptics, we will be answering the question, who created God, through 3 points. Point number 1, in order for people to exist, something needs to be eternal. William Lane Craig in his book On Guard talks about Al-Ghazali's idea that you cannot go through an
So is this video going to be trying to prove the fact that it's trying to prove the fact that God has to be eternal? Is that what they're trying to talk about? Because I'm not gonna lie, right? You can't really describe where God or the Most High or whatever, you can't describe where whatever you want to call it comes from. You really can't, because it really does always exist, you know? But I guess he's trying to prove why that's true, which is interesting. I'm not gonna lie. I'm here for the video, my guy.
infinite number of events, one at a time, and it implies that there needs to be a beginning. Now let me explain. Let's look at this pencil that the student is using. Now, it didn't just pop into existence. This pencil was bought by this student's mother before it was brought to school. But before that, this pencil was in a box being shipped to the store. And before that, the pencil was being manufactured in a factory. And before that, the materials to make pencils were being shipped in trucks. And before that, the materials were being gathered by the workers, and this goes on and on. The idea is that these events are like dominoes, and in the same way that one domino hits another domino and so on, these events cause the next event to happen until the pencil eventually gets to the student using it at school. Now, instead of pencils, let's look at the Christian God of the Bible. Now, someone may ask, well, who created God? And for the sake of building an argument, let's just say that the Christian God and Jesus were created by a greater God. So let's call this God, God 2. So
Okay.
God 2 created Christian God. Nice, problem solved. But actually, another question arises. Who then created God 2? Well, actually, the answer's pretty easy. God 3 obviously created God 2.
right?
And this creates a bigger problem. Because if everything needs a cause for its existence, then us as people could never exist. Why? Let's look at ourselves, the existence of people, as being a domino. And the Christian God who created us, he's the domino before us. And God 2 is the domino before Christian God, and God 3 is before God 2, and so on. Now, if everything always needed a cause for its existence, then there would be an unending or infinite number of dominoes. And if there was an infinite number of dominoes, we couldn't be.
So who put the dominoes there? Is that what it's gonna lead to? Well, who put the domino? I'm follow. I think I'm following, but I'm not sure. But I get what he's saying though. I'm just trying to see where he's gonna lead this to.
Here because nothing could ever begin. And we couldn't be of dominoes. And if there was an infinite number of dominoes, we couldn't be here because nothing could ever begin. And for people who believe in the Big Bang Theory, this is still a problem. Because let's just say that the Big Bang does happen, the question still arises, how did it start? How did the required materials needed for a Big Bang to happen get there? And even if they did get there, how did those materials get there? No, the very fact that we are here and alive is proof that someone or something was eternal. Because if everything needed a cause for its existence, then there would be an infinite number of events that would need to happen in order for us to get here.
I get what he's saying. And it kind of is like the domino shit. Okay, you have all these goddamn dominoes, but who put the domino there? The person who put the domino there is the eternal nigga who exists beyond dominoes. And because that thing exists beyond dominoes, it's able to place dominoes there. And you know what I'm saying? And I kind of get that. Because, I mean, that is true, though. Like, you know, the whole metaverse, which is the planes of reality 5 through 7, you know, it contains infinite eternal realms, you know what I'm saying? And then down here in the physical universe, those eternal realms kind of get reflected down into physical temporal realms that have a sense of time and beginning and ending and whatnot, you know what I'm saying?
And if there was an infinite number of events before us, things could never begin. Therefore, in order for us to be here, there needed to be a starting force to push down the first domino. Point number 2, the universe can't be eternal. Science tells us that our universe is actually expanding and that our universe has a limited amount of energy. Now, if our universe is expanding and we were to reverse time, our universe would just be a little bit smaller than it is today. And if we rewinded time over and over again, we would eventually be at a place where the universe started, at a single point. In addition to that, think of the energy that's being used in the universe as a fuel tank to a car. If right now our fuel tank is half empty, then there needed to be a time in which the tank was actually full. All of that to say, the fact that our universe is expanding right now and has a limited amount of energy that's being used in our solar system and galaxies, all of this points us to the fact that our universe had a beginning and therefore could not be eternal.
I kind of get that. Because the fact that some, I mean, this part, the limited amount of energy is the part that really helps us, because just the movement of it, one could say, when did the movement start? But the movement always existed, right? That could still be infinite. But the fact that there's a limited amount of energy, that implies an end. And if something implies an end, then there usually is a beginning to that end. You know what I'm saying? Because the end kind of marks the beginning. The beginning is the furthest event from the end, you know? But what if something started off infinitely, well, it wouldn't have started off infinitely moving. What if something started off moving and you can't find where it started moving from, but it still ended at some point? That's the thing too, you know? So, I mean, hey, I'm going to just let him keep on talking.
Point number 3, the God of the Bible claims to be eternal. Psalm chapter 90, verse 2. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. Notice how it says from everlasting to everlasting. What the author of this psalm is saying is that if you start from this infinite period of time here and travel to this infinite period of time over here, God was always there. He had no beginning and has no end. He always was, always is, and always will be. You see, for people who ask the question, who created God? They need to know that the God of the Bible is eternal in nature, which means that time doesn't apply to him because he is the God who created time and is therefore timeless. And the Bible further explains that we as Christians are able to receive everlasting life in God Because our God is eternal and capable of giving eternal life through Jesus. So to conclude, to answer the question, who created God, I would consider these 3 points. Point number 1, in order for people to exist, something needs to be eternal. Point number 2, the universe can't be eternal. And point number 3, the God of the Bible claims to be eternal. For people who disagree, I would ask, what do you believe is eternal? How do you think we came to be here on Earth? And why do you believe that? For me, I believe that God is eternal.
I mean, I get what they were doing here. They're trying to, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to put an end to the question of who created God to prove that, nigga, why should there have to be a creator of God? But it's like, I kind of wanted them. I kind of expected a nigga to try to answer the question of who made God, because you really can't answer that question. But I thought someone was gonna really try to attempt that shit. But hey, you know what I'm saying? Hope you enjoyed the video. I love you. Catch my next video. Peace the freak out. Hey.